With the big grind overall update, it became way easier and faster to progress in Dead by Daylight. Now, this is mostly a positive thing, especially for new players trying to catch up. However, it does have major drawbacks when it comes to balancing, especially for veteran players, and that will become increasingly more obvious in the months and years to come. To give you a quick example of what I'm blabbing about, I wanted some iridescent add-ons for Pinhead. Cringe, yeah, I know, but hold on. I spent 1 million blood points and only came away with 5 Engineer's Fangs, 2 Lament configurations, and 1 Black Ward. Keep in mind, I have every perk for Pinhead, so these add-ons were the only thing I was aiming for on the bloodweb. That literally gives me 3 matches to use the build I want to use for 1 million blood points. So you might think, well, that's okay, they're really strong add-ons and they should be rare. Okay, but what happens when you spend exactly 1 million blood points on a survivor? And this is a survivor I haven't spent a single blood point on since the grind overhaul update was released, so I had absolutely nothing for them. With 1 million blood points, I was able to get 36 medkits, with dozens of add-ons to make those medkits even stronger, and 15 map offerings, most of which are survivor favored while still unlocking perks at the same time. All of that as one single survivor. With 4 survivors in every match, those numbers are effectively quadrupled. A strong killer add-on is oppressive for sure. It's absolutely going to have a big impact on a match. That said, the map itself is going to play a bigger part by tenfold. Add to that not only multiple medkits, but toolboxes as well, and you have effectively created a system where matches are being won and lost in the pre-game lobby. This is incredibly frustrating for both sides because no matter how hard you're trying in a match, it doesn't really matter. You came in with your shoes untied and the other team didn't. Take a look at this solo queue match I played. I had an archive challenge to finish 2 generators, and I don't like failing challenges, so I put on a disgusting build with a bad ham offering to boost up my chances of completing it. Now, the killer rage quit after 5 gens were completed with 1 hook, but just look at these loadouts. I don't know if everyone was a solo queue player in this lobby, probably not, but still, dear God, look at these builds. As Dowsey put it, nobody told this hag player that it was 2022. We'll review some possible solutions to this in a second, but I want to quickly say that this is the true face of skill-based matchmaking. There are very few, maybe 0 players out there purposely trying to boost their own MMR to the max. There's just not really any reason to want to do that, yet what SBMM does is it creates an environment where everyone is expecting to sweat their balls off, and that is going to have a psychological effect on the way players approach matches. Mix that with the grind overhaul, and behavior has basically created a recipe for disaster. So there's really no reason not to bring strong items into every match. They're incredibly easy to get back if you happen to lose them. But can you imagine if a killer was able to bring iridescent add-ons as easily as survivors got medkits and map offerings? When you see it from both perspectives, the problem becomes a little bit more clear. So what can be done to fix this, or at least mitigate it to some degree before it gets completely out of hand and players are bringing in the best shit every single match? Well, the most common argument I hear, especially from killer mains, is that survivors shouldn't be allowed to use map offerings at all, and medkits should be nerfed severely in one way or another. To address the first part, maps should just be balanced. There's way too many heavily survivor-sided maps in DBD, and I think that's the real issue here. It would be much healthier in the long run to address that directly rather than putting a band-aid over it. In the short term, they could look at doing something like making a single survivor map offering only being worth a 25% chance, so it still means something, but it's not as strong as a killer map offering. Getting rid of map offerings altogether would suck a lot of the fun builds out of the game in my opinion, so I'm against that unless something like a ranked playlist was to be added to the game. Alright, so what about medkits? Should the healing speed be slowed down? Should they only work for healing teammates and lose the ability to self-heal altogether? These are common ideas amongst the more try-hard killer community, but medkits are extremely important to the overall health of the game. For every survivor who isn't in a top tier survive with friends, removing medkit self-heals or giving medkits self-care levels of healing speed legitimately risks killing the game. It's that big of an issue. Because the biggest problem with any team game is that you can't rely on your teammates. I asked about this on Twitter, and there seems to be a common sentiment that the speed of healing needs to have a hard cap, a set healing time that cannot be passed with any combination. This makes a lot of sense because medkits aren't the only problem with healing speed. Survivors can use perks to heal incredibly fast as well. Plus, you get into even deeper water when you mix medkits with healing perks. A healing speed cap addresses all of these issues at the same time under one umbrella. The 16 to 24 second numbers got thrown around a bit, which I think is a good place to start. SK also had an interesting idea to put in some survivor strategy by making medkits with more charges heal slower. This way a survivor can choose a medkit with 3 heals, but they're going to have much slower healing speed over a medkit that can only heal 1 time. In addition, toolboxes or gen repair speed in general could also use a similar hard cap, as more and more ways to finish gens faster are getting added to the game, possibly even including the upcoming survivor perks in the For Honor chapter. The important aspect of all of this to keep in mind though isn't really that survivors are healing way too fast in every match, it's that they can. And what I mean by that is if you're a survivor main and you're listening to this video and you're annoyed that filthy killer mains are wanting to nerf one of the only mechanics in the game that you can still rely on, relax. These changes are more or less designed to mitigate some really over-the-top combinations that the vast majority of survivor players rarely use. So if done right and behavior doesn't go over the top, you shouldn't see a massive difference in your ability to self-heal. Alright, so how do you all think behavior can fix this before it becomes a real actual problem? Should they focus on the bloodweb, nerf medkits in some way, or focus on map design first before getting into the finer balance issues? Let me know, and as always, thanks for watching and have a good one.